How do you mobilize communities and individuals so that they come together around a common cause and then they work together for that common cause?
When I was much younger, I used to work for one of my predecessors, Mrs. Ogata, the Japanese High Commissioner in the 90s. She was in many emergencies, in Bosnia, in Rwanda, and Central Africa. And she always used to say, solidarity is easier in an emergency. And in a case like this, we also share the same emergency. For the first time, this is an emergency shared by the whole world. It's not confined to a remote situation in a faraway country. My worry is in 6 months, is in a year, when we will have to face many other consequences of the crisis. The ones that are hit first are the people depending on already fragile incomes. And refugees and migrants very often belong to this group. Think of the millions of Venezuelans in Latin America, for example. They're a good example. So we will need to make sure that all these people are also protected going forward, not only from COVID, but from the poverty that COVID is likely to generate. They'll be the first victim. That's what is going to be more difficult, because once the images of the emergency in hospitals in Wuhan or in Milan or in New York go away, it will be more difficult to convince people to continue to share resources with more disadvantaged brothers and sisters.
But what do you think the world will look like when we open our doors and interact with each other once again?
I don't know. I think that I can tell you how I wish this world would be. And I said it already, let me just repeat it. I wish it could be more not only aware of the need for international cooperation, but more committed to it. You know, James, that the Syria war is now 9 years old. And if you look at the history of this war, and you look at how the international community has responded to it, we should be profoundly ashamed. A war that has produced 5 or 6 million refugees, millions of displaced, caused hundreds of thousands of deaths, wounds, separations, poverty.
Tutti insieme preghiamo per gli ammalati, le persone che soffrono. Sotto la tua protezione cerchiamo rifugio, Santa Madre di Dio. Non disprezzare.
The other day, Pope Francis leading a prayer to the world in St. Peter's Square, deserted, he uttered these words: nobody can find salvation alone. And I think that that's the awareness of this, with the challenges that go with it, because we shouldn't be naive, you know. Working together is different when there's so many different political, security and economic interest around the world. But unless we do that, we won't overcome it. Now it's COVID. The next day will be poverty and economic downturns. We need to work together, and we're not seeing it enough. So that's what I hope. What will happen, I don't know. It may be so that there will be, end of lockdown and everybody goes back to partying and spending and being selfish. It's possible, but this crisis is big enough that I think that that message is now going out to many more millions of people that perhaps had not thought of it before.
I want to ask you to gently steer us to something uplifting, because many people look to UNHCR for solutions, for leadership, for hope. How would you choose to uplift not only the immediate community that you serve, but the wider community of humanity that you serve as well?
I see extraordinary examples of two things that we need so badly today: resilience face of adversity, and solidarity that helps resilience last and be strong. And I think that this is what this terrible situation is also teaching all of us, that we must be resilient, but we can also only be resilient together.
The China Current continues its special coverage on the coronavirus outbreak. Go to our social media at The China Current and our website for interviews, videos and podcasts. I'm James Chow. Thank you.